The alarm blared across the deck of the USS Resolute, the morning sun slicing across the endless Pacific. Navy SEALs jogged in formation, sailors rushed across the steel surface, and orders echoed through the salty wind. But in the middle of all that disciplined chaos stood a man who did not belong, or at least, that's what everyone assumed. A single dad, wearing faded jeans, holding a backpack with a stitched name tag, Ethan. His shoulders were broad but tired, his eyes kind yet carrying a heaviness no one could read. He wasn't military, had no uniform, no badge, no rank. At least, that's what everyone thought, until the moment that changed everything. Ethan Walker stepped onto the Navy ship gripping his sun-nosed small hand. Noah, 8 years old, bounced with excitement. Today was Fleet Family Day, and the boy had begged Ethan for months to visit. But Ethan was tense. Crowds made him uncomfortable. The ocean made him uneasy. And Navy ships, well, they were reminders of a life he never wanted to revisit. Just as they reached the deck, a young Navy SEAL with an overly confident grin stopped in front of them. "Well, look what we have here," he teased, glancing at Ethan's everyday clothes. "Lost civilian, or are you hiding a secret rank I should know about?" The group of SEALs behind him chuckled. Ethan didn't respond. He simply placed a protective hand on Noah's shoulder and started walking. The SEAL, whose name tag read Carter, stepped in front of him again. "Come on, man, at least tell us your rank. We'll give you a free salute." More laughter. Ethan stared at him, calm but cold. "I'm just a father," he said quietly. Nothing more. But Carter didn't let it go. He smirked. "Well, Sir Father, maybe stay off the restricted deck. Wouldn't want you wandering into something above your clearance level." The comment hit Ethan harder than it should have, because clearance levels were something he once knew far too well. Noah tugged his dad's arm. "Can we go, please?" Ethan nodded, but the humiliation burned. He had hoped this day would be normal. But life had a cruel way of reminding him he didn't fit anywhere, not in civilian life, not in military life. He was in between worlds, invisible in both. Chores began. Families gathered. Children pointed at helicopters and missiles. Noah soaked up every detail like a sponge. Ethan forced a smile, doing his best to hide the memories swirling inside him. Then, a sudden whistle shrieked through the air. "All hands. Command on deck." An officer shouted. Every SEAL, sailor, and Marine snapped to attention. From the far end of the deck, 3 high-ranking admirals walked toward the gathered group: Admiral Harris, Rear Admiral Sinclair, and Vice Admiral Donovan. Some of the highest-ranking leaders in the Pacific Fleet. Their medals glimmered in the sun as they approached for an inspection tour. Carter nudged Ethan from behind. "Hey, Dad of the Year," he whispered mockingly. "Told you to stay clear. Don't embarrass yourself. Admirals don't talk to guys like yo." His words froze in his throat. Because one of the admirals, Admiral Harris, had stopped walking. His eyes locked on something. On someone. Ethan. Admiral Harris blinked, then inhaled sharply as if seeing a ghost. "Walker," he breathed. "Ethan Walker." Silence slammed across the entire deck. Ethan closed his eyes, slowly turned, and there it was, the past he tried so hard to bury. "Hello, Admiral," Ethan said softly. Carter's jaw dropped. The SEAL team stared between them, confused. Admiral Harris took 2 steps forward, then 3, then stood directly in front of Ethan. And then, shocking everyone, he saluted. A crisp, full military salute. Gasps rippled across the entire ship. The other 2 admirals recognized him next. "Sir," Donovan whispered. "My God, he's alive," Sinclair muttered. And without hesitation, they saluted him too. Every sailor, Marine, SEAL, every officer on deck looked around in disbelief. Carter's face drained of color. What is happening?" he whispered. Ethan exhaled deeply. He never wanted this moment. But it had arrived anyway. "Dad," Noah whispered, frightened. "Why are they saluting you?" Ethan knelt, placing both hands on his son's shoulders. "Because of something I did a long time ago. Something I never talk about." Admiral Harris stepped closer, voice thick with emotion. "Ethan Walker served under deep classified command," he announced, loud enough for the crew to hear. "He was not just military. He was one of our most valuable field strategists. He led missions that saved dozens of SEAL teams. He disappeared after the Blackwater incident, and we believed he died along with the others. A collective shock fell over the deck. Carter staggered backward. You were in the Blackwater team. The one they said saved an entire carrier from insurgents. That's impossible. Those operatives were ghosts. Ethan looked down. We were meant to be ghosts. Admiral Harris nodded slowly. Ethan walked away after losing his wife. He left everything. Rank, medals, operations, so he could raise his son alone. He broke no rules. He simply vanished to keep the boy safe. Noah looked up at his dad with new eyes. Why didn't you tell me? The boy whispered. Because I wanted you to have a normal life, Ethan said, voice cracking. Not a life overshadowed by the things I had to do. Just as emotions settled, alarms blared again, this time in panic. Unidentified vessel approaching. No response to communication. Admiral Donovan barked orders. Everyone scrambled to battle stations. But something was wrong. The tracking system glitched. Officers yelled conflicting data. No one could get a clear reading on whether the vessel was hostile or drifting. Ethan instantly scanned the radar screen, a system he hadn't touched in years. He saw the problem immediately. Your satellite relay is looping, he said sharply. Switch to manual sonar tracking. That signal isn't hostile, it's a broken civilian fishing boat caught in current. Admiral Harris stared. Ethan pointed again. If you fire warning shots, the vessel will capsize. You need a rescue team, not a strike team. Carter hesitated, then followed Ethan's recommendation. Moments later, the sonar showed the truth. The vessel was indeed non-hostile. The ship's crew erupted into relieved chatter. Admiral Harris turned to the sailors nearby. Record this. Crisis averted due to Ethan Walker. Carter stepped forward, guilt flooding his face. Sir, Mr. Walker. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I had no idea. Ethan gently placed a hand on his shoulder. You shouldn't need to know someone's past to treat them with respect. Carter swallowed hard, humbled. As the ship calmed, Admiral Sinclair gathered the entire crew. Attention on deck, he ordered. Hundreds of sailors lined up. Ethan froze. No, he whispered. This isn't necessary. But the Admiral stood at attention, facing him. For your service, Admiral Harris said, voice distant with emotion. For your sacrifices, for your silent courage, and for the life you rebuilt from ashes. He stepped forward and saluted again. One by one, every admiral, every SEAL, every sailor raised their hands in a unified salute. A salute not to a rank, not to a uniform, but to a single dad who carried the weight of two worlds. Noah's eyes glistened with pride. That's my dad, he whispered. And Ethan, the man who once vanished from the world, finally felt seen, not for what he'd done, but for who he had become. Ethan left the ship that day with Noah by his side, not as a ghost from classified missions, not as a forgotten warrior, but as a father who proved something powerful. True honor isn't in medals or rank. It's in sacrifice, humility, and the courage to start over. From that day on, Noah walked taller. Carter treated every civilian with respect. And the sailors spoke for years about the day an entire ship saluted a man who didn't need a uniform to earn it.